Hi, everybody. Welcome to Open Contact TV. My name's Wendy. This is Dave. Thank you for being with us in this here and now. This channel is dedicated to all things related to open contact with extraterrestrials, our star families, all things related to consciousness, channeling, and really meeting other and interacting with others in the universe and raising our vibrations to where we can become able to do that more fully. Let me say hi to all of you who also follow the formula, who know Bashar, which that's really how this all started for me, and really for Dave too, as I kind of introduced him to Bashar, and it's sort of part of the development of this channel is the moment I saw and listened to him for the very first time, which was probably around, I don't know, maybe 20, I forget now, when, I don't know, maybe 10 or 11 years ago, something like that, or more. Anyway, the first time I saw him and understood or heard him talking about being a first contact specialist, it was as if something ignited in me. It was like I knew right away that this was something I was. I don't know how, and then from that moment on, as maybe some of you might relate with, everything changed for me. Everything, the way how I saw everything. And which brings us to this now of, it's almost hard for me to believe that I've been exploring this now even though Bashar's been channeling for almost 40 years now, or Daryl has been channeling Bashar. But so that's what prompted all of this, is somehow I knew, and I think many of us knew all of our lives. And then I became it was like the hybrid children, being a hybrid mother, all of these things started to resonate with me in ways that were so phenomenally emotional that I really honestly didn't understand what was happening to me. I started studying the sacred circuits, and I started sharing them. Many of you, hi everybody, if you know me from Languages of Lights. I started a YouTube channel sharing light languages. I woke up one day speaking galactic languages, light languages as they're also known, but a lot of it is galactic languages. And that's sort of how it began with me, was connecting to other beings, and with this understanding that I was, I don't know, maybe channeling information or languages from other star systems, civilizations. And so a lot of things just opened up for me. And that's kind of what this video is about, is once you open that faucet, and I guess you remember all the things that you agreed that you were going to do as part of your path here. And so that's kind of what prompted this video today. Dave and I haven't made a video in a while, but if you've been listening to some of Bashar's transmissions over the last 6 months, 2024 is open the door. We're opening up the door this year. It is the beginning of open contact. I'm not saying that the way I want to say that, but if you want to chime in there for
No, you've said it quite well.
But so in both of our highest joy and excitement, and I'm sure if you know that, then you know that's how things opened up for me. And when I started using the sacred circuits from an old Bashar event, it was as if so many things began to open up for me in ways that I really didn't understand what was happening to me. But it was almost like I was connecting with nature in a way I didn't ever before. I was connecting with my dog the way in ways I never understood. I was connecting with what I now understand as parallel realities, other fractals of me, and so forth. And been sharing those languages and all of how I apply that spirituality, that side of me, light languages to my day-to-day life. And yet this channel really is sort of dedicated to the idea of facilitation of open contact, understanding that somehow Dave and I just know we are open contact specialists. It's once we open our hearts and own this, literally the floodgates start opening in a big way. And the protocols of first contact we started and do want to continue sharing. We've been really focused on a lot of other areas of our lives, but this year 2024, and I felt this big push because we're right in the middle. So we're in June, and we are halfway through June, and it was like something said to me, we have this window, this door that's opening, and this is the first year of this idea of opening contact and hybrid children, meeting our star families, connecting with them, but with also the understanding that it's about you can consciously connect with all of these. We are conscious channels. And as we evolve as beings and open up ourselves to this information, we become better receivers and open channels. And we begin to understand it's like all you have to do is kind of tune in to a particular thing, and you're in the vibration. It's not I'm starting to get goosebumps. It's like we don't need to go into necessarily this big ritual and preparation. It's about understanding that all you have to do is intend it and want it, and you're a part of that frequency. So if you're already of those understandings, that's what this channel is really about. And of course, how are all these things connected? But so let me preface this also by saying that yesterday we listened to an old Bashar recording, and he was talking about that there would be 333 hybrid children arriving, and they would be arriving as teenagers, and they would be learning from us, and then also they would be the teachers of the younger children that would then come after them. So even just talking about it, I start to get in that vibration. And a good part of my light language channel has been about how when I connect with nature and the light languages, it opened up my consciousness, and it opened up, my connections to like the Yael and the hybrid children and my own Sasani counterparts, and beginning to understand all those things and how was I a part of that, beginning to fully realize and how deeply I was in the hybridization program and as a hybrid mother, and I just started connecting all of these dots, and so
and I think it's important to explain too that as you're following your highest joy and excitement, you're in a higher vibrational state. So the thing that you were excited about is now opening the channels to, the infinite consciousness of information that's relating to the idea that you're exploring. So if you're interested in music, for instance, you're always connected to whatever you're vibrating, whatever your vibration is. So if you're interested in music, an infinite stream of information relating to the idea of music is available to you, and you just have to get used to allowing that flow to happen and receive it. So we're talking about open contact and hybrid children and things along that nature, but the same concept applies to anything that you're interested in and excited to explore. So the same modalities that you've come up with yourself to connect with this information, it's easy when it's following your excitement and being creative. It comes naturally. But if you are trying to solve a math problem, for instance, which may not be the most exciting thing, but if you're in the energy of trying to solve a math problem, the information is available if you allow it to get to you on solving the math problem or solving a scientific problem or whatever it is. And interestingly, just by being excited about that, it also opens the doors of information to flow collectively. So you might have this great invention idea, but you aren't a manufacturer, you aren't involved in actually creating these inventions and marketing them and so forth. But the path of least resistance within our collective is going to now make available that information to the most appropriate people to do those things. So it's not really that important that you as an individual have to invent this thing or make it into a product or sell it or advertise it or whatever. You're opening up the channels collectively, even just by sitting in your room and thinking about it, for the most appropriate person in the path of least resistance to come up with all these things and introduce it into the society and collective that we're creating collectively. That's just how it works. So, a lot of times you think, I could have gotten rich because I had this great idea and somebody else stole it.
I was one of those people. Let me just tell you. Yes, I was.
Have had these great ideas.
Yeah, I'm like, I should have patented that.
When you think of things more from a collective basis, and remember, we're creating our own reality, not only collectively, but individually, we move to a reality where these great ideas exist. And so if you want this really great thing, you really just have to focus on the thing for a while, and it comes into your reality. And what we're all practicing here as it relates to open contact is being in the vibration of these things that we want, acting as though these things are already occurring, and showing the universe, which also includes just when you're walking around town, you are brought into situations where you have the opportunity to prove to the universe the vibration that you want to be in. Those people are just there to give you the opportunity to prove you are what you say you want to be and allow the reflections of those things to start manifesting in your creation of physical reality. And we're making it all up, and it's all just a dream. So nothing is off the table.
That's a good way to put it. It's funny when you said that about you create your own reality, because boom, it was like the moment that I heard those words, and it was Seth. I was listening to, all I did was hear a brief quote and it was in that voice of Jane Roberts channeling Seth, and I heard, "You create your own reality," and it was like, wait, I knew that. Why? And that actually is how I found Bashar. Was I started like Googling that stuff, like you create your own reality, and then I was, why do I see 11/11 all my life? And that turns out to be the day we celebrate, Bashar's birthday on 11/11, and all of these things. And it was like all of these explosions of things were happening in my head and in my life, and it was exciting and just emotional explosions of stuff,
So what does all this have to do with open contact? Earlier today, Wendy was doing a video on her Languages of Light's YouTube channel about flowers, and she found a oracle deck about flowers and was very excited because we have been growing many of those flowers. And while making that video, she made a connection to collectively, but also
but it was also what you said that prompted it, and that was what was so funny.
So she made a connection to let's just say someone involved with the hybrid children. Uh, from a teaching standpoint, helping with the hybrid children, learning and teaching, uh, and for the moment, the details of that aren't important. But the idea of the hybrid children being attracted to flowers, using flowers and the names that we've made up for flowers as names for themselves, as many humans have done
Have
as
done
well.
too. That's that's a good point too. Many humans
So-
have taken on names of flowers as naming. Yes. So
Because
Good point.
in a vibration consciousness of sort of being psychic all the time, you don't necessarily need to have names, and you don't verbalize names. So you don't say, "Hey, Wendy." You just psychically know who they are, recognize their vibration from both a physical standpoint and just energetic standpoint. If Wendy was invisible and she walked in the room, I would probably notice because I'm very familiar with her energetic
Energy.
frequencies. So, the idea of connecting the hybrid children not having names and getting to pick their own names, they look at the different flowers and decide what flower name they want to pick, and oftentimes they might look to their human genetic parents for helping them name the children, because it's really about the interactions between all of us collectively moving toward that reality. And one of the things that we realized and were shown as well were the ideas of how the sacred circuits are designed to connect you multidimensionally between consciousnesses and sort of unlock the idea of being in one dimension or one-dimensional reality, not one dimension, but just the frequency of a single reality, and helping to reconnect our awareness to all the other multidimensionalities of realities that exist, just like the sacred circuits are designed specifically to do that in different ways. Sacred geometry, which are found in the shapes and forms of flowers, are also designed to do that as well. And so connecting it with nature actually connects you with the sacred geometry found in nature, which is actually connecting more of your multidimensionality and higher consciousness and being more aware in a larger consciousness way of all that is, which in turn introduces you to more of who you are,
Yes.
which in turn allows you to be more of who you are and starting to see things as more equal, others as well as yourself. And as you start realizing that others are reflections of yourself, and everything is always a reflection that you are creating, you start to think of things as becoming more equal from an equal standpoint. And that is part of the idea of what is necessary to have open contact with other dimensional, extraterrestrial, other consciousnesses. But that's a necessary requirement, because inequality is essentially creating your own filter to prevent these things from being part of your reality. So just like everyone's doing their homework about getting rid of their negative beliefs and so forth, all of these things are just filters that are preventing more of who you are and more of what all that is from being part of your own reality. And as it applies to the idea of open contact and first contact, we want to represent the idea of getting rid of all of those filters, which in turn raises your own frequency. And when you raise your own frequency, all of the filters that are in the way of that show themselves to allow you to let go of them. And it doesn't have to be a difficult task to get rid of them. And you're not really getting rid of them.
No,
you're just not letting them be a filter.
That's kind of the point too about the awareness and consciousness is you begin to understand there's nothing to get rid of and there's nowhere to get rid of it too. It just always exists. It's just a choice of focus. And those who understand the teachings that Bashar's brought us,
and others,
and many, many, many others. And that's the interesting part about this information is that it's innately all the same, spoken maybe just from a little bit different perspective.
So the word sacred really represents, if you look up the definition, it represents the idea of truth and unchanging, unaltering. And when you find these sacred truths, you find that they're demonstrated and presented in many, many, many different ways. But when you start distilling them down, they all say the same thing. Maybe in different ways, maybe presented in different ways for different people, maybe presented by different people for people who need to hear it a certain way to receive it. But
I'm laughing because when I was telling Dave, I'm sitting here, so I was just thinking about maybe I should go get the echinacea flower that it was the sacred geometry. It's very activating, and in all of us, it's part of our agreement with Earth and the plants and the elementals. And
we'll include a link to the language of Light's video
and the video
talking about echinacea, or as pronounced by.
Well, this is the funny thing is so all of a sudden, despite the fact that I've been channeling now for over a decade, it's like it never ceases to amaze me. It's like when you have that connection and you're having this conversation telepathically and you're thinking, I'm making this all up. It's just, I even said it to Dave. I said, I'm making it all up. I know I am. And then I'm thinking, I hear Bashar inside my head going, you cannot imagine something you're not already the vibration of. And this is something that I've been just excited about and tuned into for such a long time in my pretend, linear reality. But it was like immediate. It was like I could hear her, I could see her. And she literally said, hello, I'm Echinacea. And she said, and she said, and that is how I pronounce it. Echinacea. She was interested in how we sort of, blend. Anyway, they're interested in everything we do and say and how we do it and how we, and she was explaining to me, I'm what you call I'm what you call what you would understand as a hybrid, as one of the hybrid children, but I'm older, and it's explaining about that she is so she said, I'm teaching the younger children through your experience through the flowers, because that's one of the ways that we can tap into you is when you are in the environment, in nature, looking at the sacred geometry. When we're involved in those things, they are learning from us. They're observing our interactions, because as Bashar has said, when open contact happens, it's going to happen with every single creature, being, everything on this planet, everything. Therefore, as we're opening up our open contact to this, she's explaining how they're observing how we're opening up and explaining to the hybrid children and observing our sociology, our physiology, what happens to us. Like, they can see the colors and things and how we change when we're interacting with the plants. And it's like this big download of information that there's so much to share, and to put it all in words right then and there. It's like such a lot of pictures, it's a lot of visions. And then you think, and then she was explaining how right now I'm actually working on a Pleiadian ship, because right now, as it stands, we will likely be united, she's using that word, united with our Pleiadian family first, but they're also working in tandem together, because they're all interacting with all species on our planet, with all of us. And those of us who are, it's like they tell me all the time, we know who you are, we see you, and we're observing, and we know who is vibrating in that reality, and who but the important part is what they're learning from us. And when we're in those observations and having those interactions, they see how we change, and they see how we process the information. They see how it affects our belief systems. They see how it changes how we interact with each other in our day-to-day lives, because they need to understand how we operate. If they're going to live with us and we're going to be interacting and doing it on as equals, all of these things have to be taken into consideration. That's part of what open contact is. And I just got this big push today, and it was that idea of and then 33 has been in my head, and 333, and that idea of the barrier, the border, not barrier, the border between physical and non-physical, 333,000 cycles per second. All of these ideas, and then the geometry and how all of that's interacting. It's like these huge downloads of information that I can't I want to articulate as they're happening, but there's just so much. So she's explaining how she's working on the Pleiadian ship, and she was explaining how there's different kinds and different ships and different sizes, and it depends on what it is and what it's for, who's aboard, why they're aboard, how the classes, she's saying how the classes are being taught, because they want to learn how we learn, so that we can interact with how they learn. But it still has to be on an equal understanding. And we talked a lot about this today too, about that idea that, and Bashar has said this so many times, that you have to see yourselves as equal, that we're not, it's a co-creation. And then Dave and I really have these deep understandings and connections to the idea of becoming part of the Interstellar Alliance. And it's almost as if I see, like, even we were talking about that, like I see my future self, but it's not my future. It's that version of myself already a part of that. And that just being in that idea and that vibration made me so emotional, like happy emotional, like, okay, I know that this is part of my consciousness, my path, and it's already done. It's like, it's already done. And to see it as already done. I've received a lot of information too about the idea of the 6th hybrid race and the 7th hybrid race, and that idea of our upline selves already cooperating in those ideas, and all of those things that I've experienced and that we've experienced together, and the understandings that we've experienced together, with just the idea of, you know, the Asasani, but and the connections to now that his father has kind of turned over the torch to Bashar, and now his father can be more in the facilitation end of the of the already in the vibration of it happening in preparation for that, and the feeling, the strong connections that he and I feel toward that idea too. And then yesterday being Father's Day, and my push to want to go find the clips that I can find about Father's Day and Bashar's father, and because it was like such an emotional connection. So, but the idea that,
and the relationship between that and sunflowers.
and yes, and then Echinacea and her being the teacher, and how when we're and but it was all about Dave reminding me today, right after I did the video, or was it during the video? No, it was during the video, right? It was during the video, and he said, and remember, the hybrid children choose flowers names in order for us to connect with them. And I went, oh, and there it was. It was like, oh my God, the connection. I could feel her. As soon as I ended the video, I started like hearing her talking to me, saying, hi, I'm Echinacea, and I'm part of the hybrid program, and this is my role, and I'm a teacher, and this is what I'm doing, and then and that's when I say to myself, okay, we're all conscious channels. I've been teaching this for a long time, but yet even I still have these belief systems where I'm going, okay, I know I'm making it all up, but it's her, it's real. And I was like, okay, let's just share it,
And just like the hybrid children are working with the Aiel, the Pleiadians, the Sasani, the Sirius energies.
And it's so also, far beyond that too.
While they are participating also with all of those beings, they're also directly connected to the whales and the dolphins.
Oh God, yes.
Who are part of the idea of open contact. And it's been described where the whales and dolphins are sort of like the people of Earth that live in the water. We're the people of Earth that live on land. The whales and the dolphins are the people on Earth that live in the water. And our idea also of that they're also equals. So we also need to think of all things as being equal, and having a societal respect for all forms of society, not only within other nations and geographical locations, but also water-based life, air-based life, wherever life and consciousness exists, which is everything.
We're not sitting in front of our kind of background, our stuff back there, but there's a lot of whale and a lot of dolphin influences here in the house too. So it's interesting that you mentioned that.
So Sirius is also becoming a little bit more active in their preparations for open contact and how that will unfold.
And already the light languages are it's almost like I hear them, and it's like I hear them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you want to share?
Well, it really it's about me my head to intake couple in shuma eva he money and could talk about the yashana in pala could talk about in should go in ba take simen sime and malave and morama in any ke my unate so maya ke in bata umana miss so to ni anda ke tapaya so to ke my te. And of course there's millions of things that I'm hearing in there, so it's like we're very excited that you are all on this exciting journey, and that you're awakening more and more to all of that you are. And so the messages are very, very similar, but yet it's like it's an amplification. And then we're reminded about the whale being the oversoul of the dolphin, and how and I've never really heard them explain it or remind me of it this way too, but they said, we want to remind you all that you are also collectively an oversoul. And that just gave me the weirdest.
Well, or bigger picture of connectivity.
And that's why I wonder why. It's like, and these are the things that we don't usually record because I don't want to be crying on camera, but that's what happens. It's like, and why, it's like, okay, wow, why did I never really think of it that way? But it's like, what a powerful message to hear in that you collectively, humans are an oversoul, and they just kind of want to leave it at that.
A message for all of us. To
it was kind of like, yeah, drop that in your little bucket.
Well, as they describe going through the levels of consciousness, as you move up the layers of consciousness, you realize that the thing you thought you were in is actually you. And as you as you integrate that idea more and more, you realize from whatever level you are, the thing you thought you were in is actually you all along.
And I was thinking about, as I was thinking about my Sasani contact crystal, which I don't have on right now, and to any of you who can relate to that, and that because that's also a permission slip to anyone who has the contact crystal or the dolphin crystal, is a permission slip both ways. It's kind of like they've said to me several times, we know who have them. And why that was important to mention, I'm not really sure.
So if you resonate with this, let us know. Leave a comment below.
Woo, yeah. Mm-hmm. So those rushes of love, and that's what I wanted to say too, was it when I feel those, it's like it's not just open contact is about opening contact to all of those things. That's why they kept showing me it's not just about the hybridization program. It's about all the DNA behind all of that. It's so much bigger than just that. And that present, when I get that feeling, it's almost like they're all, like I'm feeling it from all directions of consciousness, this reflection back of a huge wave of love. And so when you were talking about the dolphin and the whale, I felt that huge wave of loving energy that comes out. And it's not just the society, it's not just the Yael, it's all who are excited in this co-creation, excited in this broadcast I'm hearing too. So anyway, thanks you guys. That was really had the gist of it. And Akinasia, she wants to express her appreciation and your desire to open up more of contact, just by intending it in your heart. That's all she's saying. All you have to do is intend it in your heart, and whatever way you are supposed to receive it is how you're going to receive it. And that's one of the biggest barriers we have, like me going, I'm making this all up, is opening that releasing that valve of disbelief.
So we're always making everything up.
Exactly, and I'm glad you said that too.
And the point is, what's a story that you want to tell? You can make up any story that you want. You could move toward any story that you want. And like you said, you can't imagine what you are not. So all of these things already exist in some way, and it's up to us to write the story.
I like that. And she likes that too. So she's enjoying very much being a part of this story.
Thanks for hanging out. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you again soon.
Yes.
We love
Bye.
you all.
Bye, family.